Hey guys. I need to get this off my chest. If you've ever been blindsided by your own child, the one you gave everything to, then maybe you'll understand why I'm still shaking, months later. I said no. That's all I did. I said no to co-signing a $200,000 loan for my son-in-law's latest, big idea, and my daughter, my own daughter, looked me in the eye and said, "Then don't expect to stay here." I was 75 years old. A widower. I'd been living in their house for 5 years, ever since Louise passed. At first, it felt like family. Like home. But that night, when I dropped a fork while setting the dinner table, and Brittany stood there with a bowl of mashed potatoes in her hand, cold as the winter air outside, it felt like something died. Let me tell you everything. The day had started normally. I was setting the table like I always did, 5 years of the same routine. Brittany was finishing dinner, Travis was glued to his tablet like a child on Christmas morning. He spun it around and said, "Gerald, I've got something incredible." I already knew what that meant. It always started that way. Big dreams, shiny charts, colorful graphs. He'd been through 3 startups already, one ended in a lawsuit, another in bankruptcy, and the last one nearly cost me my pension. "This time is different," he said. "We just need server space, office space. That's all, $200,000. I kept my hand steady, laying down the last fork. "Travis," I said, "I've helped for 15 years. I'm tired of being your ATM." Silence. Brittany's face turned. Something in her eyes changed, went icy. And then, without flinching, she said, "Then don't expect to stay here much longer." It felt like the floor dropped beneath me. What do you even say when your own daughter evicts you from the home you've helped pay for? When the people you've bailed out time and time again finally tell you you're disposable? I looked around that dining room and saw the ghosts of every check I'd written. Wedding photos, vacations I'd funded, graduations, mortgages. 15 years of helping, and this was the thanks. I didn't even finish the meal. I climbed the stairs slowly, one step at a time, each creak louder than the last. In my room, I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the pictures on the wall. Brittany as a teen. Brittany holding Lily as a baby. Brittany and Travis smiling at Christmas. I didn't sleep that night. I sat there and I thought. When did love turn into leverage? When did support turn into servitude? Somewhere around 3 a.m., I opened my old filing cabinet, the one Louise and I used for taxes, medical bills, and keepsakes. I started pulling everything out. Bank statements. Wedding receipts. Canceled checks. Transfer notices. I made a list. The wedding venue alone? $52,000. I'd called it a fairy tale gift. Monthly mortgage payments for 5 years? Over $200,000. I covered their car insurance. Their medical emergencies. Lily's college tuition. Mason's tech school he never finished. Trips, surgeries, broken furnaces, anniversary getaways, root canals, all me. I added it all up. I couldn't believe it. $487,000. And she said, "Don't expect to stay here." I pulled out the power of attorney paperwork I'd signed when I had knee surgery, back when I trusted Brittany to handle things, if I was ever incapacitated. I shredded it. Strip by strip, I fed it into the machine until her access to my accounts was nothing but confetti. I opened my laptop. Searched, senior apartments, downtown Kettering. I didn't care about square footage. I cared about peace. I cared about being somewhere no one expected me to fund their fantasy. By the time the sun rose, I had a lease appointment scheduled. And for the first time in months, I slept. If you've ever gone through something like this, drop a comment. I'm listening. I moved out on a Friday. Brittany was working a shift at the diner, and Travis was probably off pitching his startup to another unlucky soul. The house was empty, just the way I needed it. I parked in the driveway one last time. The key felt heavier than usual as I turned it in the lock. Inside, everything was too quiet. It wasn't home anymore. It hadn't been for a long time, I just refused to see it. I didn't pack much. The photo albums from my years with Louise, those were mine. The military medals I'd tucked away in the top drawer of the bedroom? Mine. But the recliner they got used to seeing me in? That could stay. The piano Louise loved? Brittany claimed it after the funeral, saying Lily would learn on it someday. Fine. Let her. Some things weren't worth fighting over. I marked my items with blue tape, handed the movers a list, and pointed to the things I was leaving behind. They nodded, no questions asked. The youngest one, maybe 25, gave me a soft look and said, "Senior discounts already applied, sir." I wanted to laugh. I was finally getting a discount, for carrying the weight of everyone else's life for 15 years. The last thing I did was leave a plain white envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside, a single sheet of paper. Brittany, Travis. I've moved out. The keys are on the counter. You'll find that I've cancelled my financial support. You wanted independence from my expectations. I'm giving you independence from my assistance. Don't contact me until you're ready to apologize. Gerald. Then I closed the door. And I didn't look back. My new apartment was nothing fancy. A one-bedroom on the 3rd floor, a view of some trees, walking distance to a little coffee shop. Dana, the realtor, had offered to show me around the complex, but I told her I didn't need a tour. I wasn't buying comfort, I was buying silence. I signed the lease, wrote the checks, and moved in that afternoon. I expected guilt. I expected loneliness. But what I felt instead, was relief. That first night, I ordered a large pizza, pepperoni and olives, the way Louise used to make it from scratch, and I ate it slowly, in silence, without anyone asking me for anything. "No, Dad, we need tuition covered." "No, Gerald, could you cover rent this month?" Just me. A cheap pizza. And peace. Saturday morning, the phone rang. "Brittany." "Dad, what is this?" "Your stuff's gone." "There's a note, what is this?" "I moved out," I said. "You can't just leave." "Travis told me not to expect to stay much longer," I said calmly. "I'm just following through." She started to cry, loud, messy, theatrical crying. I knew it well. But I didn't flinch. Travis jumped on the line. "Gerald, listen, we can talk. The loan, you don't have to give the whole amount. We can work something out. This business, it's the real deal. You need an investor?" I said. "Find one. I'm retired." Then I turned off my phone. I went to the bank the following Monday, First Federal. Polished tile, piped-in music, coffee that tasted like cardboard. The banker, Quinton, raised his eyebrows when I asked to cancel the automatic transfers to Travis and Brittany's account. "That's been running for 5 years uninterrupted," he said. "Time to interrupt it." He ran the numbers. I watched his fingers tap the keys. When he printed the final total, he sat back in his chair, stunned. 487,000. Over 15 years. I just nodded. It wasn't shocking anymore. It was just math. Later that day, I sat across from Charles Nguyen, an estate lawyer who didn't blink when I said, "I want to lock down what's left. My daughter's not getting another penny." He helped me set up an irrevocable trust. Lily's name was on every document. "She's the only one who's never asked for money," I told him. "She checks in just to check in." Charles nodded. "Then she's the one who gets protected." By the time I walked out of his office, I had everything in writing. No more access. No more surprise power of attorney clauses. No more, Dad, I didn't think you'd mind. I was finally done bleeding for people who wouldn't even bring me soup in the hospital. That night, Travis texted me. We need to talk. I'm coming by tonight at 7. I didn't reply. Let him come. Let them all come. I was done playing the quiet old man in the background of someone else's life. I had a door now. And this time, it locked from the inside. At exactly 7 p.m., my doorbell rang. I didn't move at first. I just stood there, breathing in the quiet. Then I walked over slowly and looked through the peephole. Travis. He had a bouquet of yellow roses, store-bought, still wrapped in plastic. The kind you grab when you realize you've messed up and need a gesture fast. I opened the door but didn't step back. Gerald, he said, smile already painted on. You look good. Apartments, minimalist. He walked in without waiting for an invitation. I watched him scan the room, taking in the used bookshelf, the second-hand couch, the smell of reheated leftovers in the air. I didn't say much. I just gestured toward the kitchen table. He didn't sit. He flopped. So, he started, I know last week got heated. Brittany was upset. You know how emotional she gets. I crossed my arms. Did she send you? He paused. Well, she's been worried. I mean, come on, Gerald. You've been living with us. We've built this whole rhythm. And then suddenly you're just gone. I didn't respond. He filled the silence. I get it. The money thing, it's been a lot. But this time, it's not just some wild idea. It's scalable. Real software. We already have beta users. When's my birthday? I interrupted. He blinked. What? My birthday. When's the last time you remembered it, without Brittany reminding you? He squirmed. Come on, Gerald, we're talking about serious stuff. February 14th, I said. Valentine's Day. Hard to forget. But you have, 12 years in a row. He frowned. That's not fair. This is about our future. No, I said, standing slowly. This is about yours. Mine doesn't include bankrolling your fantasies anymore. He bristled. You're being stubborn. Brittany and I have been carrying this family, hosting holidays, taking you in after Louise passed, giving you purpose. Purpose? That hit me harder than I thought it would. You owe us, he added, voice rising. And there it was. Not a request. Not a plea. A demand. I pointed to the window. That your BMW? Yeah, why? You parked in a loading zone. Hazard lights are blinking like there's some emergency. But the only emergency here is your entitlement. He stood. You can't just abandon your family, Gerald. We have commitments. People are counting on us. Then find another ATM, I said, voice flat. You'll regret this, he snapped. When this opportunity passes you by and you're sitting here alone. I'm already alone, I said. The difference is, I chose it. He slammed the door on his way out. It rattled the frame. I didn't even flinch. The flowers sat on my counter like a joke. I dropped them straight into the trash. Not an hour later, I saw Brittany's silver car pull up. She sat in the driver's seat, phone to her ear, staring up at my window. I didn't answer her call. I didn't need to hear another prepared script. The next day, she showed up in person. Right on cue. Dressed in her best daughter-seeking forgiveness outfit, soft sweater, minimal makeup, a box of store-bought apple pie in her hands. Hi, Dad, she said brightly. Morrison's Bakery. Your favorite. She walked in like nothing happened. Just like Mom used to make, she said, placing the box carefully on my counter. I raised an eyebrow. Mom used to burn pie more than bake it. She laughed nervously. You know what I mean. Thought we could have coffee. Talk. We went through the motions. I poured coffee. Added cream the way she liked it when she was little. She took a sip like we were just two people reconnecting. Then it started. I've been thinking about all the times you were there for me, she said softly. Recitals. Graduation. My wedding day. I sipped my coffee and stayed quiet. I know things got heated. But you've always supported us. Can't you support us one more time? When's the last time you visited me in the hospital? I asked. She blinked. Dad. My knee replacement. 3 days in recovery. You came once. Travis sent a card. I was busy. The kids. Lily drove in from out of town. Mason called every day. Brittany's eyes glistened. Are you punishing me for being human? No, I said. I'm choosing peace over being used. The tears came fast then. She buried her face in a tissue she'd probably brought for just this purpose. We'll lose the house. The bank is calling every day. Travis is trying so hard. Just help us catch up, please. Maybe it's time you got full-time work, I said. She stiffened. I work plenty. I manage the house, support Travis's career. Lily's 20. Mason's 22. What kids are you raising? Her eyes hardened. You've become cruel. No, I said. I've become free. She stood up, gathered her things with forced dignity, and left the pie on the counter. As if guilt could be boxed in sugar and crust. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. A text from Mason. Grandpa, can I come see you Sunday? Mom and Dad are acting weird. I texted back. Yes. Bring your appetite. At least one person wanted to visit me without a price tag attached. Sunday afternoon, I heard Mason's knock before I saw him. He still had the key I'd given him years ago, but he chose to knock. Small courtesy. Big meaning. Hey, Grandpa, he said, stepping inside like he owned the place. He gave the apartment a once-over and tried to hide his reaction. Mom said you moved somewhere, tiny. His jeans were hanging off his hips, work boots untied, flannel shirt wrinkled. 22 years old and still looking like he'd just rolled out of bed at 2 p.m. Coffee? I asked. Sure. He dropped onto my couch like it was his old spot back at Brittany's, legs sprawled over the cushions I just fluffed that morning. As the coffee maker gurgled, I glanced at his reflection in the kitchen window. Same restless energy as Travis, same stubborn jawline as Brittany, but Louise's eyes. Gentle, observant. A quiet part of me hoped there was still something salvageable in him. So. I need a favor, he said, as casually as if he were asking for more salt. Here we go. $3,000. Just to clear a credit card mess. I got in a little over my head. It's temporary. I handed him his coffee, stirred just how Louise used to make it for him as a kid. When are you planning to pay it back? I'm getting a job soon. Maybe something with cars. I'm good with engines. I pulled a business card from my wallet. Joel Ramirez owns a shop 2 blocks from here. He's hiring a mechanic's assistant, $15 an hour, benefits after 90 days. Mason scrunched his face. Grandpa, I don't want to work for some random guy. I need quick cash, not a career move. How did you rack up this debt? Just stuff, he shrugged. Gas. Groceries. Help some friends. Concerts. A couple games. Video games? He looked down. Yeah. So what? You asked me for $8,000 for tech school 2 years ago, I said quietly. You dropped out after 1 semester. That was different, he said, standing abruptly. I had other opportunities. Like what? I asked. Sleeping till noon. Playing online till 3 a.m. You don't get it. Everything's expensive now. Rent, food. Jobs don't pay enough. Your generation had it easy. I held out the card again. This is for your benefit. It's real work. Real pride. He slapped it from my hand. I don't need a lecture about pride. I need $3,000. No. That single word settled into the silence between us like a brick through a window. He looked stunned. Like I'd just hit him. You're serious? Dead serious. Don't expect me to visit anymore, he snapped, storming toward the door. Don't expect me to care when you're old and lonely. I'm already old, I said. And I'm starting to prefer lonely over used. The door slammed. The neighbor's wind chimes rattled from the impact. I watched from the window as he stomped down the street, phone already at his ear. Probably calling Brittany to report his failed mission. Not 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Lily. I hesitated. My thumb hovered over the answer button. Grandpa, she said, voice heavy. It's chaos at home. Mom's screaming. She says it's all your fault. What does Travis say? I asked, settling into my chair. He sold his car yesterday, she said. The bank says if they miss one more mortgage payment, they'll start foreclosure. 15 years of automatic transfers, and they didn't last 2 weeks. Maybe that's what finally made it real for me, the realization that I hadn't been helping them. I'd been enabling them. Propping up their delusions. Covering for their laziness. And now, without me, they were collapsing like wet cardboard. Maybe it's time they grow up, Lily. Mom's working 60 hours a week now. Double shifts. She comes home crying. They're fighting constantly. I didn't say anything. I just listened. Grandpa, she continued, voice breaking. She collapsed at work today. Exhaustion, they said. She's okay, but... Her voice trailed off. Lily, I said gently. Your mom chose this path. I offered support. She demanded control. There's a difference. Later that week, I took my usual walk to the park. The same homeless man who fed pigeons near the sculpture garden nodded at me as I passed. You look happier these days, he said. I'm learning to live for myself. Smart man, he chuckled. Family'll drain you dry if you let them. Back home, I ignored 17 missed calls from Brittany. I read every text, though. Not out of guilt, just to see how far she'd go. Dad, please. We can work this out. The bank wants $8,400 now or they take the house. Travis is applying for loans but his credit is trash. I'm working doubles. My feet are bleeding. The neighbors are talking. It's humiliating. You're destroying our family over money. I deleted each one after reading. Then I logged into my bank account. Healthy balance. Every cent protected by the trust Charles had built. Brittany couldn't touch a dime without a court order, and even then, she'd hit a wall of legal armor. I was finally untouchable. That evening, I sipped leftover soup while watching the sunset. The soup was still warm by the time I finished. I smiled at that. Sometimes healing starts with the smallest luxuries, like eating a full meal without being interrupted by an emergency that isn't yours to solve.